Welcome back to another weekend vlog. If you're new here, hi, I'm Anna. Glad you're here. It is Saturday afternoon, about 4 o'clock, and I am about to tackle one of my favorite and at the same time least favorite to-dos. I have to tidy up my bookshelves. Maybe you can see in the background a little bit. I have so many books that need to find a place on my bookshelf. At some point, I want to rearrange all of the bookshelves. We have 3, and I am sharing them with my partner. And we've been talking about rearranging them for quite some time, but I think we need to dedicate a whole day to that and do it together. So, to make this to do a lot nicer, I will make myself a coffee. We just got home from our afternoon walk, so it's time for coffee. Anyway, I also wanted to show you the book that I'm currently reading. I am reading Madonna in a Fur Coat. I started this on Monday. Today's Saturday. I'm only on page 64. I have to say, this book is very short but so dense. I believe it's translated from Turkish, and I feel like that definitely adds to the fact that the language is quite dense. It definitely reads like a translated book. I hope you know what I mean. I feel sometimes with translated books, it takes me a bit more brain power to really grasp the text. And this is definitely the case with this book, but otherwise, I like it a lot. It's about this young man who comes to Berlin in the 1920s because his father wants him to learn how to be a soap maker. And he wants his son to learn the craft in Germany and then bring it back to Turkey. Not the craft itself, but the knowledge about the craft. So he's basically training. And in Berlin, he goes to this art exhibition and sees this painting of a woman in a fur coat, and he is completely mesmerized by this painting. That's as far as I got. I think he is falling in love with the woman who is the inspiration for the painting, and it is definitely a love story. Also, it's told in retrospective, so we meet the main character when he's an old man, and then his coworker actually reads his notebook. So the coworker is the narrator, and he tells us the story about this young man in Germany. Last night I went out with some friends. We wanted to try this new bar, this new cocktail wine bar. And then tonight I have a friend coming over and we're watching a film. But also tomorrow night I'm going to the cinema. I'm so excited. One of my favorite little cinemas that I go to quite often is doing Winter with David Lynch. They're showing all the classics. Tomorrow's the first day, and they're showing Eraserhead. And I want to see all of the films that they're showing by David Lynch. But I'm so excited to start off this little David Lynch marathon. He's my favorite director. So very excited. All right, but now I will make a coffee. In true David Lynch fashion, I will make a coffee and then I will tackle the bookshelf and take you along and show you a few books that need to find a spot. And also at the same time, I would love to declutter a little bit and see if I can get rid of some books, because I have a book exchange coming up in March that I'm organizing. So let's see if I can find some books that I want to take to the book exchange so that someone else can have a go and give a nice new home to a book that I have already read. very quick purge. I have some books that I want to bring to the book exchange. I'm bringing A Psalm for the Wild Build by Becky Chambers. I read this in 2024. I liked it, but it's just not my type of book, and I can't see myself rereading this. I think someone else at the book exchange might love to have this. 3 other books that I am getting rid of are 3 books that I haven't read, actually. I am getting rid of Wilder Girls. I got this a few years ago. This is a secondhand copy, and I don't see myself ever reading this. I feel like at this point, I'm a bit too old to read this. It's more for young adults, I feel like. So, again, it will find a new home. In a similar vein, a book that I don't see myself reading soon because I feel like it's not necessarily my type of book, my type of genre. I am bringing Ninth House by Lee Bardugo. I thought I would read this, but I've had this for 2 years now. This was actually my friend's copy, and they brought it to a flea market that we organized. And I had always wanted to read this, but I feel like I'm kind of over dark academia. At least this type of dark academia. So, again, I'm sure someone will be so happy to take this home. And then the final book. I've had this for at least 4 years. I will never read this. I'm never gonna read this. At this point, it's too tainted for me. And that book is A Little Life. Even if I decide to read it at some point, I can pick up a copy anywhere. I got this at Oxfam, I believe, 4 or 5 years ago. I don't want to read this. I don't. So, again, someone else will enjoy this. That's it for the book purge. I have 2 other books, 2 German books that are more on mental health and physical health. They're kind of pop science-y, and I will bring them as well. But I'm not going to show you. It's not that interesting, I believe. Now I will just show you random books that I have to put back. This has to go on my TBR. Shirley Jackson, We Have Always Lived in the Castle. I want to read this as a buddy read. I have to talk to my friend when we actually want to read it. Then I have my copy of Equus by Peter Shaffer, which I was thinking of rereading. This is a play, actually. And I was in the mood to reread it, and then I never did it. Let me know, because I pulled this from my shelf because I watched a YouTube video by Davis Morgan, who I love, and he does a lot of videos on disturbing literature. And he was talking about this, and that kind of got me inspired to want to reread this. But whilst going through my bookshelves, I thought, okay, maybe I could do my own version of disturbing books that I would recommend. So if you want to see that, let me know in the comments and I will film that for you. Then I found this copy on the street recently, Lord of the Flies. I've never read this, so I was so excited to find this, and I will read it at some point. And then I have Orbital by Samantha Harvey, which I also read as a buddy read with my friend Anna, and for some reason I never finished it. And a few weeks ago, I read the last few pages, so I can finally put this on my shelf. Not my favorite, I have to say. I don't really get the hype. Then I have some books that I lent to a friend. I'm just gonna go through them rapid fire. I have Exit West, which was also not my favorite, to be honest. I have a book on the Right Girl movement because I wrote a paper on the Right Girl movement at university. Here's a lovely picture of one of my favorite bands, Sleater Kinney, and as you can see, I drew some hearts while I was doing my research around Carrie Brownstein because I love her, and also she was very important to finding my queerness. So thanks, Carrie. She has a great autobiography. If you're looking for a good autobiography in the music world, I can show you. Carrie Brownstein, Hunger Makes Me a Modern Girl. Highly recommend this book. It's so good. If you love a good music biography, this is definitely for you. Even if you don't know Carrie Brownstein, amazing book. She is such a good writer. All right, that was my I have a crush on Carrie Brownstein segment. Moving on. I also lent my friend this book on theory, cultural theory, Introduction to Literary and Cultural Theory, with my homegirl, Judith Butler, on the cover, which is always a plus. And then my friend also had my copy of The Employees, which will also go back on my shelf. Then I have some books that I read recently. Perfection, which again, unfortunately wasn't my favorite. The last book I read, Audition by Katie Kitamura, which I loved. These are rapid fire reviews. Claire Keegan, Small Things Like These, which I also loved, and I can't wait to reread this December. And then I have On the Calculation of Volume by Solveig Balle, the first part of the series. When I was reading this, I thought, this is kind of boring. Now, I think about this book all the time. All the time. When I was reading this, in my head, I already decided, okay, I will not continue the series. I will. I will. I finished this book and I can't stop thinking about this book. And then one of my new favorites, Train Dreams by Dennis Johnson. This cover, I can't get over this cover. I recently watched the film, it was amazing. Still prefer the book, but the film was so good. It's on Netflix if you want to watch it. Okay, I think that's it. Otherwise, I have my favorite books of 2025, which I will link my video so I don't have to talk about them again. I mean, I want to talk about them all the time, but if you want in-depth reviews, go to the other video. And that's it. I will now tidy up, which is always the worst part, to be honest. And then I'm done. Sorry, the lighting is really bad. I just got home from the cinema. As I told you, we went to a screening of David Lynch's Eraserhead. It was amazing. I hadn't seen Eraserhead in forever. I've seen it 2 or 3 times. Not necessarily one of my go-to Lynch films, but definitely up there. 5 stars is what I rated the film on Letterboxd. It was so funny because you could tell that a lot of people were not familiar with Eraserhead, and to be fair, it is a little bit disgusting in terms of fluids and other things, but also, you know, you know. And also, I will take no slander on the Eraserhead baby because I have very maternal feelings for that baby. So there were people going, ew, at the cinema. I was like, no, that's my baby. Put some respect on my baby. I'm so excited to go to the other screenings. I will now have a little snack because I didn't have proper dinner. I did have some cake before I went to the cinema, and then I had some popcorn at the cinema. So I'm not that hungry, but I will eat something before I go to bed. And then it will be an early night for me. Might do some reading. As I've said, the book that I'm reading, Madonna in a Fur Coat, is quite dense. And maybe it's just not the right book for me at the moment. I am struggling a little bit, I have to say. Not necessarily because of the way the text is written, but more so the storyline. I'm not that invested. The two main characters just met and their relationship is now starting, but I'm a bit meh, to be honest. Watch me change my mind when I continue reading. Or maybe not. Let's see. I'm open. Tomorrow I have my day off. I have therapy in the afternoon. Let's see if I can make it because there is a strike going on tomorrow. So there are no buses and also the tube, the U-Bahn, is not running. So let's see. Maybe my therapist won't even make it to work. And then in the evening, I am talking to my friend Rebecca on the phone because we have to plan our Amsterdam trip because we got tickets to see Harry Styles in Amsterdam in May, and we want to see if we can already book a hotel because A, it will be expensive, and B, everything will be booked and busy. All right, snack time, and also I have to fill up my hot water bottle because it is freezing outside and I'm so over it. I can't stand it anymore. I love snow, but at this point it's too cold and also everything is just ice. You can't even walk anywhere without almost tripping. And yeah, I'm over it. I'm over ice. All right, let's have a snack. See you tomorrow.